is one of our vital resources. We build our home, roads, and parks on it. It's a habitat for 1,000 of species and is critical part of our ecosystem. The earth is covered with lots of different types of land. Humans use this land in a variety of ways for a number of different purposes. Land use is characterization of land based on what can be built on it and what land can be used for. It's determining what sort of community, environment, or settlement can be used on a specific type of land. One definition of land use is the total arrangement, activities, and input that people undertake in a certain land cover. It's important to note that land use and zoning are not the same, where land use is the way that people adapt land to suit their needs, and zoning is how the government regulates the land. Understanding land use help understand patterns that are associated with land and urbanization. Understanding how land was used in the past can be a significant indicator of how the property will be used in the future. It is safe to assume that humans will always rely on crops and livestock as their food sources, which highlight the importance of land designated for agricultural use in the community. There are many different categories when it comes to land use. The most common land uses are recreational, transport, agricultural, residential, and commercial. Recreational. When a property of land is used as recreational, it means it meant to used for the enjoyment of people who used it. This could be anything from parks and open spaces to playgrounds and swimming pools. Cities add recreational land into their blueprint to ensure the area has places for people to go and enjoy. These aren't essential for the development of community but help to attract both permanent residents and visitors. Transport. Transport land is designed for the structure that help people get from one destination to other. Transport land includes things like roads, airports, train station, and subway station. Agriculture. Agricultural land is used for growing and harvesting of crops and livestock. These are things like farm and pastures. Residential. The purpose of residential land is to build home. This could mean mobile home, single-family home, or even apartment complexes. Depending on the local area, the status of the market, and the type of residence you plan on building, you'll need to consider other things such as accessibility to the property, the proximity to local amenities, and the local school, crime rate, etc. Commercial. This type of land is designated for business, warehouse, shop, and any other infrastructures related to commerce. This type of land is commonly used for office building, restaurants, shops, and other businesses. And while commercial land use doesn't take much space, it's critical to the economy of community. Effects of land use changes. Land use changes occur constantly and at many scales, and can have a specific and cumulative effects on air and water quality, watershed function, generation of waste, extinct and quality of wildlife habitat, climate, and human health. Land development and agricultural uses are the two primary areas with a wide variety of potential effects. The environment. Land development creates impervious surface through construction of roads, parking lots, and other structures. Impervious surfaces contributes to non-point source water pollution by limiting the capacity of soil to filter runoff, affect peak flow and water volume, which heighten erosion and affect the habitats and water quality. Some land development patterns, in particular dispersed growth such as suburbanization, can contribute to a variety of environmental concerns. For example, increase of air pollution due to vehicle use result in higher concentration of certain air pollutant in developed areas that may exacerbate human health problems such as asthma. Land development can lead to formation of heat island domes of warmer air over urban and suburban areas that are caused by loss of trees and shrubs and absorption of more heat by pavement, buildings, and other sources. Heat island can affect local, regional, and global climate as well as air quality. Agricultural uses. Agricultural land uses can affect the quality of water and watershed, including the types of crops planted, tillage practices, and various irrigation practices can limit the amount of water available for other users. Agricultural land use may also result in loss of native habitats or increased wind erosion and thus exposing humans to particulate matter and various chemicals. Some land uses can accelerate or exacerbate spread of invasive species. For example, certain agricultural land use practices such as overgrazing, land conversion, fertilization, and the use of agricultural chemicals can enhance the growth of invasive plants. These plants can alter the wildlife habitat, contribute to the decrease in biodiversity, and creates health risks to livestock and human. But in some cases, change in land use may have positive effects, such as increasing habitat as a result of deliberate habitat restoration measures and reclamation of previously contaminated land by urban or suburban development. Natural resources and energy. Natural resources are materials and energy sources found in nature that human needs to survive. Natural resources are useful raw materials that we get from the earth. They occur naturally, which means that human cannot make natural resources. Instead, we use and modify natural resources in a way that are beneficial to us. The materials used in human-made objects are natural resources. Natural resources are usually either renewable or non-renewable. Renewable resources refers to those resources that can be renewed themselves in times. These include living resources like forest or non-living ones like water, wind, and solar energy. On the other hand, non-renewable resources, as the name implies, are those that can no longer be tapped once the available stock at a site is exhausted. Once we use them, there isn't any more. Mineral resources are non-renewable. Fossil fuels, which are formed from fossilized remains of prehistoric organisms, are also considered non-renewable, even though they can renew themselves given a few million of years. Fossil fuels currently account 90% of the world energy consumption. They provide 66% of the world electrical power and 95% of the world total energy demand, such as for heating, transport, electricity generation, and so on. Our consumption of fossil fuel has nearly doubled about every 20 years, which is quite alarming statistics given that their levels are running dangerously low. On the other hand, natural renewable resources such as wind and water have been used throughout history. Until recently, were a predominant energy source. In many developing countries, biomass remains the primary energy source. for much of the population. Renewable resources have advantage of producing lower emissions of carbon dioxide and reducing reliance of fossil fuel. Example of this is wind energy, solar energy, biomass energy, and hydropower energy. Wind energy. The moving air on wind has a huge amount of kinetic energy, and it can be transferred into electrical energy using wind turbine. The wind moves the blade, which spins a shaft, which is further connected to the generator, which generate electricity. Solar energy. Solar energy is the light and heat produced from the sun. It is harnessed using an ever-evolving technologies. In 2014, global solar generation was 186 terawatts-hours, slightly less than 1% of the world total grid electricity. Biomass electricity. When a log is burned, we are using biomass energy. As plants and trees depend on sunlight to grow, biomass energy is a form of stored solar energy. Although woods is largest source of biomass energy, agricultural waste, sugarcane waste, and other farm byproducts are also used to produce energy. Hydropower. Energy produced from water is called hydropower. Hydroelectric power stations, both big and small, are set to produce electricity in many parts of the world. Hydropower is produced in 150 countries, with the Asia-Pacific region generating 32% of the global hydropower in 2010. Natural resources are very essential for sustaining life on Earth. That is why it is important that we must utilize our natural resources and energy properly and conserve it for our future generation and for us to live abundantly. Thank you for watching, and if you like the video, please click like and subscribe. Ciao!